It's time to start Dishin Days with your hosts, Tony Moore, Michael Mattis, Justin Lee Hareld, and Araceli Aviles. And now, let's dish. Why, hello, everybody. Happy Sunday. Welcome to Dishin Days, where we're serving up a full dish of this week's episodes of Peacock's exclusive #1 award-winning hit soap opera, Days of Our Lives. If you haven't already, make sure you like us and follow us on all social media platforms. We are Dishin Days Show on Facebook and Dishin Days on Instagram, X, and Threads. Also, make sure you, hello, Mom. How are you?
Full as a tip.
Good evening, son. I am here again, full as a tick. Well, she did send me a picture of her air-fried drumsticks.
Ooh.
That she paired with cabbage, yams, and cornbread.
Ooh.
So
okay, Mama Moore.
That's why she is full as a tick. Hello, Mother, and good evening. If you guys haven't already, make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel, hit that subscribe button. Also, make sure you hit the bell notification. That way, as soon as we go live, you'll know about it. Also, you can find us on your favorite podcast stations. We are on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, and iHeartRadio. Just click in Dishin Days and find us and follow us. And that way you can take us on those long car rides when you're stuck in traffic or going on a road trip. Or if you're sticking to that New Year's resolution of pumping it up in the gym, you can catch up on your favorite episodes of Days of Our Lives or Dishin Days right here on your favorite podcast station. Also, make sure you buy some merch and take a look at these lovely logos. We have our Meliswin logo, Possessed, Dishin Days logo, and Serving a Full Dish. That way you can let everyone know what a huge Dishin Days fans you are, or maybe just a simple Days of Our Lives fan. Either way, head on over to dishindays.threadlets.com to buy your merch today. I felt like I was on QVC. It's a proud moment. Also, what?
Is it HSN, Home Shopping Network?
Which Michael Mattis is currently representing round 2 of Lisa Rinna Cardigan. He's no longer Lumberjack Michael. He is now Cardigan Michael. Warm and cozy. Make sure you guys show some love to our former co-host and my chocolate twin, James Lott Jr., who is serving up a couple of dishes of himself. Make sure you check out his original audio dramas, plus catch up on your other favorite soap operas, such as Bold and the Beautiful, Young and the Restless, and General Hospital. All can be found on JLJ Media or on your favorite podcast stations. Just make sure you look up JLJ Media, because James Lott Jr. is the only person among the four of us that remembers when TVs were black and white. Maybe, but also true. All right. So you guys, what did we think about this week's episodes of Days of Our Lives?
A little all over the place.
It was. There were a lot of people on this week. Yeah. When you looked at everything that happened, like we got a little bit of everybody.
Yeah, I liked it. We had a few bright spots. I thought it was a decent week overall. There were a few bright spots that I think were like the highlights of the week that we'll get into. But yeah, it was fun.
Some comic relief.
Yeah.
Yeah. I thought this week was very interesting. There's definitely some interesting twists that occurred.
You're gonna cough like Paulina?
No, just waiting for that big gulp to go down. But yeah, I was just definitely like, where is this gonna go? So let's find out. My mom agrees a lot was going on. So let's break it on down for the people. It is now time to start Dishin Days. Oh, wow. Look at that. We did it. Set it and forget it. All right. Let's go to our top storyline, which is Tumultuous tales of Tate and Teresa.
Mm.
This storyline took an unexpected, tumultuous twist and turn.
Oh gosh.
I honestly I didn't really see it coming
Yeah.
Mhm.
until it
Mhm.
happened, and then I was like, oh, she relapsed. Makes
Was
sense,
it
but then it was like, oh, why didn't I see this coming? Because
Mhm.
she's been so stressed about everything, and actually, you would think she might be a little bit more at ease that Tate was transferred to like juvenile, but a juvenile center, but the
Mhm.
stress got to her.
Yeah, I definitely didn't expect. I don't know about you guys, but I thought it was like she was going to see Tate. That's where I thought she was
Hmm.
like sneaking off to, and
Mhm.
she was gonna like try and sneak in to see him or see how he was doing or something like that. That's what I thought it was. So
Yeah.
even when Brady and Alex were going with the theory that she was, she relapsed, I was kind of like, oh, it's not going there, and then it did, and it was like,
Hmm.
oh, okay, interesting, they're going here.
Mhm.
Y'all, when Alex called Brady and said Teresa was missing, all I pictured was Teresa in a car behind the bus following Tate,
Yeah.
just being like,
Yeah, she would.
but I was not expecting the relapse. And I don't know, how do you guys feel about that? Like, how do you guys feel about the fact that suddenly, after so many years of sobriety and so many years of not using drugs, and even last week, like saying as a parent, we talk to Tate every day about drug use and not using drugs and
Hmm.
everything like that, to all of a sudden this week, she fell off the wagon and used. Like, what were y'all's initial thoughts about it?
Like I just said a few minutes ago, I guess it makes sense because of all the stress she's been under as a mom.
Mhm.
But we didn't want her. You empathize with her um for what's happening, and unfortunately, that's like it's realistic. It's what happens sometimes.
Mhm.
The chat room has someone in the chat room has an interesting thought, but I'll let everybody else go because it wasn't
Mhm.
something I thought of. But
Yeah.
It was just it's heartbreaking. It
mhm,
I mean, it's a
sad.
reminder. I think it was a smart twist. Um
Hmm.
it was a smart twist to kind of veer in that direction as a reminder that how tenuous sobriety can be, and that you're tested, and nothing tests you more than being a parent, than being a scared parent. I mean, it's like just the minute by minute fear when your child is not with you, and for her to be told that she's not going to be able to have any contact with her own child for a month.
That's the kicker about it. Yeah.
And I mean, it would be different, and I compare it back to when Teresa was in Mexico for 2 years. That they say, well, why didn't she lose her sobriety then? Well, it's because she knew her son was safe. He was with his father. She has, for all of their ups and downs, Brady and Teresa um, have actually been pretty good co-parents as far as things go. They have their arguments, and they certainly argue in front of the kids, but they know that the other would lay down their life for their child, and they have had to be put in that position a time or two. So she knew that her child was safe at that time. Right now, her child has already been attacked. He's in major trouble with the law. So there's no, even if somebody tells her that this is the safest possible option, there's in her mind now, the only thing that she's thinking about that is, my child is not with me. If he's not with me, then he's not safe.
Here was my first thought. It didn't make sense to me, only because my initial thought was she was on the brink of death and not sure like what was going to happen to her when she was in Mexico
Mm-hmm.
with Chloe.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
Like I would think something like that could cause a relapse. And she pushed through that and she's pushed through life. But and I understand with this is a child, it's very stressful and everything like that. But even this hasn't been going on that long. And it's not like she hasn't been supported. So for her to suddenly wake up in the middle of the night and decide, I'm going to go use drugs today. It just, for me, it didn't make sense for her to suddenly do that.
The
I think it makes
situation
perfect
is
sense.
severe enough. I thought it made sense. Like
Yeah.
it's not the length of time it's been happening. It's the what am I trying to say? The severity or the intensity of the situation is more likely gonna push someone with those kinds of issues like over to the edge.
But then wouldn't she have done it when he went to jail and then they went and saw him and he was getting beat? Like I would think this is now a little more sigh of relief that he is being transferred to a juvenile rehab center, which they said is which they said that it's a cakewalk compared to jail, and that he has to do group therapy and everything like that. The only thing is, no, she wouldn't be able to see him for a month. But I feel like, yes, that's hard. It's a slight sacrifice, but at least he's not where he was. I don't know. There just feels to be a little bit of a disconnect for me as to why, after all these years, we now see her in this state, and I'm more so kind of like, all right, yes, this was an interesting twist. Didn't see that coming. There must be a bigger picture to it. But in the moment, I was like, this doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you, Tony, a little bit. I think this was a surprise to me, like I said before. I think it makes sense in terms of her having a relapse with everything that was going on. But I think how they chose to show it, I think doesn't necessarily make sense. I think having her go it out in the middle of the night and have a relapse is sort of weird. If you ask me if you had said to me, oh, there's a relapse story coming for Teresa, this is not how I would have pictured it. I would have pictured her either sneaking alcohol or sneaking pills, something a little bit more subtle. But I think it makes a statement to disappear in the middle of the night when you know that people are going to come find you or going to be looking for you. Like I think that says something different. And again, it's an addiction, so there's a control issue there. But yeah, I think that's the part of it that I'm having a little bit trouble buying a little bit more than like just her having a relapse, I guess.
I think
there's also.
I'm sorry. No, you go ahead, Nicole. I think you're both looking at it as she made a conscious decision to go and relapse. And there's a little bit of a distinction there when you're an addict of you don't make the conscious decision, like plan out like, okay, now that this has happened, I'm going to go get high. It's most of the time, it's very impulsive. We don't even know if she went out to specifically get high. She could have just gone out to go take a walk, and she just in the split second said, I can't handle what's happening in my brain right now.
Or she encountered one of these drug pilfers who are, it could have been leaving the apartment could have been completely innocent. It just happened to be, like Araceli said, like she was confronted with something or she was presented with something. Then that split second, she gave in.
Yeah,
but we don't know exactly how she got there, but.
And like I said, it's not your rational thinking is that because now she's being told her child is safe, that would be a relief to her. But her child is still very much in trouble. And it's this bit, it's just this been building and building and building and building of stress, where it's like you get to the point where even good news is not a relief. It's more of a like, it's been building so much and she hasn't had a chance to express it. And unfortunately, when you're an addict, the way you know to express it is just to let go.
But let's also not act like, Teresa is some helicopter mom that has been like around Tate this whole time. Y'all know there was like a full month where we didn't see Teresa and Tate together for a while. And even when they did interact, it was like, oh yeah, hi, how are you?
Yeah, but it's that difference. It's the difference of knowing that he's with his father, he's with his grandparents, he's surrounded by family, he's safe, as opposed to now he's been locked up, he's been beat up. The sudden jolt of that, the minute your child gets hurt, it's jarring like you wouldn't believe. And again, sure. I know I talk like I'm a parent, but I have had those moments as an aunt where you pick up the phone and somebody's calling you and telling you this, that, and the other, and your heart just goes in your mouth.
Well, did you feel like you needed to go take a pill?
I felt like I needed a drink. I'm not even gonna lie, and that's okay. Of me not being. I'm not an alcoholic. I have had addicts in my family, so I'm very aware of those kinds of issues. But I'm not gonna lie. The first thing that I did was when everything was calm, was buy the parents' alcohol. Now, whether or not that was a good decision, I don't know. But when I tell you, our hearts were in our throats, I'm not even kidding. It was.
I totally get that. But there's also been times where, we saw Brady relapse, didn't we? And there was a while where he kept staring at the alcohol, but fighting it, and staring at the alcohol and fighting it. And then finally he gave in. I think that's also the jolt too, is that if when Tate went to jail, there were just these moments where we kind of felt like Teresa was kind of like on edge about everything. Then I think seeing her laid up in the sleazy hotel, high as a kite, wouldn't make sense. But like even watching last week, it seemed like, oh my gosh, like this is terrible. But like, at least he's safe. Then all of a sudden it's like, I want to go party and I'm just high and we still don't even know what she did, but she's just like high as a kite all of a sudden. And I would just think that observing everything that's happened the past week, and especially with the situation with Holly being in a coma because of drugs, her son being in jail because he's being accused of giving her said drugs, her reminding herself that we did everything right? Like we talked to him, we're recovering addicts, to then suddenly just have this moment of life is stressful. Like it just doesn't.
There's no one formula for relapsing. Like in now, all of this being said, the chat room seems to think, we haven't ruled out that there could be foul play involved in this. Was it what we're assuming it was Teresa's choice, whether it had been thought out, whether it was a split decision. We're going along. To us, it was Teresa's choice to do that. But what if something happened? What if it wasn't a choice for her? You know what I'm saying? Like some people in the chat room are thinking like it wasn't. She's now a pawn, I guess, or someone did something to her to make a point or to get suspicion off of someone else or something.
Yeah.
So that also could be, be a play here.
Which is why, like, when that was my first initial thought of where did this come from? Then I was like, there must be a reason. It's the first dot. And we're going to finish the dots and then we're going to connect the dots and it's going to be like, now it makes sense. Because right now I'm just kind of like, was someone in a meeting and they went, make her high. And they went.
She could have been. How terrible would it have been if she, and we don't know this yet. What if, we're just speaking in hypotheticals now, what if she was actually trying to go to a meeting, like she was feeling it, was going to a meeting, but then somehow got drugged against her will or something.
That's a possibility.
Konstantin saw her and said, "On."
Because there's also
that old man was in bed by 8 o'clock. That man.
One terrible thing at a time, folks.
But the flip side of that too is when it was happening, it's also thinking of it as, okay, this is something that whether it's EJ or someone else can use against Tate. Like, we already have him trying to build this case that he comes from druggy parents who, he's following in his parents' footsteps. And here now the mom is falling off the wagon. And like, this is all fodder he could use. So that did pop into my head too of like, oh, would she really do this and put that part of it at risk too? So maybe there is something to that, it was against her.
And, we have to realize Theresa is, at the end of the week, Theresa is just now coming out of her high. We haven't even heard her side yet from her.
Yeah.
Everybody is just kind of speculating on what exactly happened. So hopefully we'll find out this week, from Theresa's side of it, what happened.
Yeah. And it was interesting just to see how her lovers would handle it. There's Brady, who kind of knew what to do, being a recovering addict himself. And there was Alex, who was just kind of like fumbling the bag and just not quite sure like how to, suggested more drugs to be like, doesn't that count?
No, that was like, that's like,
that's like ecstasy.
That's like having a hangover the next day and going, well, let's drink.
People
that'll ease the hang, because drinking more will ease the hangover. But with drugs, it's a different story. You don't treat ecstasy with more ecstasy. You just kind of gotta let them flush it out. Drink water, get some sugar and coffee.
I will also just like to say that,
not that I'm an expert, I don't know.
Exactly, that's what I was going to say. None of us here at Dishin Days, we do drugs or that much alcohol.
But I know I've learned from Days, like.
That's a T-shirt. What I know about life, I've learned from Days of Our Lives.
He also did at one point say, like, let's get her to the hospital. So he was, that's not a crazy idea to want to.
No, he's inexperienced, and you need to listen to the experts at that point, consult experts, which he did by talking to Maggie, which that was important. So.
But was Brady really right though? Technically yes. But would you advise someone who is tripping on drugs to sit there with them and give yes, it works and can work, but is Alex really in the wrong here by saying bring them to the hospital to get treated? Is that
it depends on what the intent is. I get that Alex's intent is to get Theresa better. He thinks that only the hospital can help her. He's not entirely wrong, but the thing is that, yes, thank you, Dylan Matthews. Yes, there are unintended consequences to that. One of it being that hospitals are legally required to report things like that to the police. So one, they don't want that. And the police already know, Jade already knows. And she agreed, if she's not in any medical danger, that they should just allow the drugs to just wash out of her system. So it's, for many people, it's just a judgment call. It's a judgment call on if your life is in danger. And at that point, Theresa's life was not.
I don't know. I think Brady was also protecting her in a sense, which is nice, but I don't know if saying Alex is wrong for saying let's go to a hospital.
No, he wasn't wrong.
He's not wrong. He's just he just doesn't have the same level of experience with this as Brady does, and unfortunately, Brady does have enough experience to know the difference between this is a one-time thing. It needs to flush out of her system, as opposed to no, she could have she could be having a seizure or something like that happened to Holly. We need to get her to a hospital right now. I mean, I hate to talk about it in these kinds of terms, but yes, there are levels of being high, just as there are levels of being drunk, and we all know the difference, or maybe have more experience with of people who are, like funny drunk, like, oh, they're stumbling, oh, we need to get them to, home and let them have, their proper hangover, as opposed to this person is blacked out, this person needs to go to the hospital.
It's like that one time at the Abbey. I'm just kidding.
We don't talk about the Abbey.
No one was hurt. I'll say that. No one was hurt.
Hurting the next morning, but
hurting the next day, but no one was hurt. What do we think about the kiss between Brady and Theresa?
Just don't be messy. There's enough going on. You don't need that.
We
are watching a soap opera, so
The ironic thing is, I don't think that Theresa actually wants Brady right now.
You don't think so?
I don't think so.
I think she'll always. Yeah, I think she'll always love him in that sense. But the way that she was talking was very much friend zone, and I think she was. I think she was just emotional. She was just emotional, and she's gonna beat herself up for it, like everything else. She's just not in a good place. I don't think she's thinking about Alex or Brady right now in particular. I think that was another impulse, and she's just not in a good place right now, period.
No, because when they found her high, she seemed very highly ecstatic to see Brady. And even Alex was kind of like...
She called him boring.
That was because he wasn't ready to...
I thought the same thing. I was like, oh, she's going to be happy to see Brady, but not happy to see Alex. But then she turned over to Alex and kind of did,
she did the same thing.
And did the same thing.
But it was still very much like, oh, and you're here too.
Yeah.
With Brady, it was like, Brady, my knight in shining armor.
Yeah. I think
I'm with Araceli. I think Teresa is just a little messed up right now. She's dealing with the Tate stuff. She's dealing with this giant secret she's keeping from everybody, from the man that she's supposedly trying to date. And now she's coming down off of whatever she took or was given.
I feel like it's a little plant of a seed.
Yeah.
Because even in Greece, I still feel like she was trying to be with Brady, and Brady was like,
she did kind of. When she first came back, she was trying. Yeah. I guess. Yeah. To your point, when she first came back, so.
And then now that she's
something there.
Yeah. Now that she came up with this plan of all right, I'm gonna make Alex a billionaire, and then I'm gonna have some billionaire on the side. But I think I feel like when you're high or drunk, I feel like it's truth serum. So everything that you're doing has a little bit of truth to it, and I just feel like her heart, while her body is with Alex, her heart is with Brady.
I mean, her heart may always be with Brady. I'm not discounting that, but I think this was just another impulse.
See, I think the stuff with Tate has stirred up some feelings, even before the getting high. Not saying she is all in on Brady now, but I think it's stirring up something the past few weeks. Them getting closer, them dealing with their son, the nice time they had on Christmas. I think it's all stirring something up.
If y'all
don't leave that lady and her wig alone,
y'all in the comments about the wig.
Listen, there at some point we are just going to have to accept the hair as it is and just pretend like it is what it is. Y'all are in the comments going off about that wig, honey.
Oh my gosh.
Maybe she just needs a good lace front human hair wig. Maybe that'll make things better. Maybe that is human hair. I don't know.
Yeah.
There's a Party City in Burbank. Someone just drove up.
Not the Party City wig.
Yeah.
Please no.
It's fine. Take the wig out of it. Everything's fine.
Everything's fine. We're fine. We're fine. She's fine.
Yeah. But, you know, in all of this we've talked about, I think we can all agree, Emily O'Brien continues to slay this role.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
I think so. I still think there's times where she says things very much like it would be with Theresa, and I don't know. I just I feel like she's still killing it and doing with it. You know, she's still staying true to the character. I will say that one of our former co-hosts, Mr. Mark J. Freeman, had a huge problem with it. And
what does he not have a problem with, honestly? Like, he has nothing but negative things to say anyway about everything. So I just read his tweet. I'm like, oh, he doesn't like that? Surprise.
Surprise, surprise.
Surprise, surprise.
Surprise, surprise.
It has nothing to do with it. The only thing he likes is Billy Flynn. That's the only thing he likes.
Well, we all know that Billy can do no wrong. Well, I mean, who knows? Maybe you guys will get to hear his thoughts firsthand.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But I got to hear them, and I was like, this is just like old times where.
Those were the days.
Those were the days.
Don't worry, guys. Me and Justin are here to fulfill your sparkling personality quota.
Yeah.
Justin's like, nah, I'm good. Let's move on, shall we? Let's stop. Memory lane.
As he saunters away.
Memory lane may not have always been so bright, so let's keep going, shall we?
You know, one thing about Justin is always the quiet ones that can throw the most shade. Look at that face. I want it to be noted that today, on January 21st, 2024, at 3:38 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, Justin's face has said it all. Because normally Justin is now today he's we have a face change today. Oh yeah, and just really quick, before we head out of this, it was a nice chat between Maggie and Alex.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah,
and I'm glad that Alex mentioned something to Maggie, because I think it also helped him understand a little bit. It also kind of solidified what Brady was doing. Well, Justin, you got my mother's approval. So yeah, so that was a great chat, and I like that she didn't feel like she had to, you know, be that team leader supporter and like jump in, but it's kind of like assess the and just reassure Alex that, you know, Brady understands this and Brady has it. So if he's telling you to go get coffee and donuts, then go get coffee and donuts.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That was the second time I wanted a donut myself, because this week people were talking about donuts, and I was like, "Ooh, that does sound good." What were we going to say, Justin?
I will say I thought Brady could have done a little bit better of a job, like including Alex and stuff. I understand he was very much in like, I got this kind of a thing. Like, you stay over there in the corner, I can handle this kind of thing. But I also feel like this is his girl now. Like, you know what I mean? They're the ones who were in a relationship. You're coming in to help. You guys have a bond and co-parent and have a son. But like, include him a little bit more. Like, even when he sort of overreacted and apologized when he was like, oh, you can just leave then. It was like, no, you're in their apartment. They share as a couple. You know what I mean? It's stuff like that where I thought like he could have been a little bit better about including them. But I think he, as Brady does sometimes, it's like, take control and I got this and, you know, get out of my way kind of thing. But
yeah.
We'll see.
We'll see. All right. Well, moving on to our next storyline. It's goodbye, Holly and Nicole. Okay, before we talk about the storyline, was anyone else a little jolted by the fact that all of a sudden we had 2 new teens get sorors, and now all of a sudden they're just like gone, like as if like, okay, we're going to make them older, bring them in, and then like ship them off. I'm like,
by teen scene of 2023.
Yeah.
like, is this
already
like
gone.
is this it? Like, is this the last of Tate and Holly that we're gonna see? Is this the last of Nicole that we're like? Is everyone just on like a little mini hiatus and then they're gonna come back? Like,
the show's been doing this for the past couple of years. Like, a character will be, you know, they've done this with Kristen a couple of times. They did it with Rafe. They've done it with people where they just kind of rest the character for a month or two, and then suddenly they're back.
But I do agree with
that's
Tony.
After some time, though.
Yeah, with Tony saying it's jarring. Like, it's understandable for Nicole, who's been steadily on the canvas, but for these teenagers who have been on 3 months, 4 months, it's a little jarring.
Yeah. And then why not just start with that storyline? The whole thing about I love Johnny. I like you're my boy. Like all this, and then all of a sudden it's like
over, but...
and then like now I'm in a coma, and now you're gonna ship me off. But also I thought I was like, wow, what an easy like last few weeks Holly has had. It's like still in a coma.
How easy is it though to like stay still with all of that crap on your face though? And then like when Maggie leaned in for her kiss and like I was like, oh, was that? I don't know. I don't think it would be that. It sounds easy, but I don't know if it would be that easy to just like completely still with all of that stuff on your face, with everybody just talking around you for who knows how long.
I mean, it's different when you're like flat and like you can just pretend you're asleep, but she's actively got something in her mouth. So it's like, I can imagine how uncomfortable that gets to be after a while.
Like, do you like, it's like, is there a moment where she's like, okay, I'm just going to take a little nap while y'all are doing this? Like,
just snort. You're like, Ashley. Is her name Ashley? Is that her real name?
Yeah, Ashley,
Ashley.
I imagine when they're not shooting her or she's not in the frame, they tell her so she can like open her eyes and like, you know, I'm sure she's just stiff just for those 30 or 60 seconds that she's on screen.
Can you imagine being like, because see, I couldn't do that. Because I would do something like this. When I knew the camera was on me, I'd be like, you know, because y'all know I want to make sure I look good, even though like I'm sleeping. And I just be like, and then as soon as the camera's off, I'd be like, psych, just kidding, just watching you do your scenes. But I don't know, it was just kind of like, all right, well, but I will say it made sense because for EJ to think of the facility that he was at, and remind you, he was shot in the head, and they, you know, did what they, and for me, I was like, okay, well, we'll see Holly in a few months, because if you got shot in the head and almost died, Holly's just in a coma because of some drugs. Like, and that's a quick little doo, and then she should be back.
Yeah. And wait, hold on. Correct me if I'm wrong. Wait, did Clyde shoot him in the head?
Yes, Clyde had him shot. Yes.
Okay.
Clyde had him shot.
I remember Clyde had him shot, but I couldn't remember if it was in the head because I remember that Sammy shot him in the head.
Oh yeah, I don't know if it was in the head, but it was
So that was why I was.
Sammy shot him in the head. Sammy shot him in the head. He was shot in the. Was he shot in the back or the chest?
One of those. Yeah, I remember. Yeah, I remember that. So I think there was a little bit of a mix-up there. With the history, because it was Sammy who shot him in the head way back when, and then he got shot in the chest, so was presumed dead. And then I think, and I'm almost positive that it wasn't even those injuries that he was recovering from. He was recovering from that gunshot that Clyde had dealt out under Kristen's care. And then there was that whole thing of everybody in the building kind of a thing, and the building was on fire and he was covered up. And I think it was burns and stuff. And anyways, it seems to be a miracle clinic, so I guess we're off.
Yeah, well, it was. I think it was a beautiful moment that, you know, well, two beautiful moments. One, when Tate, before Tate left, we saw not only Brady and Teresa, but also John and Marlena came to say goodbye. And then in the same sense, when Holly and Nicole were leaving, we saw Maggie and Eric.
Yeah. Your favorite. Yeah.
Eric was there because y'all wanted to make sure Eric was there because y'all want Nicole and Eric back together. So he was in the scene because of y'all.
Yeah, it's interesting how they picked up the whole Eric was the father figure and the stepfather, and I don't know. I feel like they've disregarded it for so long that it feels like such a jolt now that they're actually like giving it lip service and like having him in scenes with Holly. So it is a little distracting, even though it does make sense history wise. But it takes a minute to get used to. Of like, okay, now we're acknowledging that this man was her stepfather, and yeah.
All right. Well, one can only hope that the facilities in Italy will, bring Holly back. I really hope that they just rest them for a little bit, but then they do bring them back. I do think that they could be an asset, and I thought they were being an asset to.
They're both like they both came in and with all the main players and were able to hold their own and really make a presence,
make an impact,
have a presence, and make an impact. And so yeah, I hope they do. This maybe a couple months, a month, however long, and then just bring them back and kind of reset things and.
Yeah, but I think also again this gives more story that they can do that is for a younger demographic. Again, it's the Salem teen scene all over again when we had Belle, Philip, Chloe, like all those and now just imagine what can be done now with them, and let's add a few little guest stars, co-stars to be friends and and all that kind of stuff to really just like we had T and I can't remember the other girl's name that was in the later for with Will and like Sunny and all that so yeah I'm all for that because
the other Nicole issue is that Sloane has her baby. And now Nicole's going off. So what's going to happen? I'm curious to see what's going to happen with that part of the storyline while Nicole is off screen. And I'll be really ticked off if it all comes out and Nicole's not on screen.
I thought that same thing. I thought the same thing. Like all of a sudden she comes back and finds out. I was like, I need you to find out right there in her face, so you can be like.
There needs to be a
that's
reveal.
What I'm waiting for.
There needs to be when back in the day when Sammy was found out or when Kristen was found out. It needs to be an event.
I think it will be. I think we just will have to wait. And I said this. Everybody said, "Oh no, they're gonna wrap this up quickly." I was like, this is not gonna wrap up quickly. Sorry, folks.
Yeah.
Yeah. But maybe someone else who we need a little ease from that too, because she's been on the brink, but we'll get more to that later. But basically that's it with that storyline. And thank you, EJ, for not unapproving Tate's move to it's like thank you for having sense with that. Now on to our MLK Day observance. What did you guys think of this? Because this was obviously a very isolated episode. What did you guys think?
A little heavy-handed, but I didn't mind it for the most part. Sometimes stuff like that can be really cringe, but I think they handled it for the most part in an interesting way. And who they chose to have it focus on, I'll say I liked the sort of quad of Rafe and Jada and Chanel and Johnny more than I did the other stuff. I thought that was more real conversation than I thought some of the other stuff was a little bit preachy, but I actually do appreciate that they acknowledged it and made it a plot point. So yeah.
Yeah, I didn't mind it, and I didn't think it was overly I don't think it was what am I trying to say, like overbearing or over pushy. I felt like it was like all of everything that happened was presented in a very like we joked earlier about everything I've learned. I learned from Days of Our Lives, but this was actually like, I think the point was to not teach people, but like just inform people that this kind of stuff still happens in this country. Like we may have made progress, but we're still, if the past couple of years have shown us, we are still far away from tolerance and the equality that we like to think that we are. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so I felt like this was, a good way to touch on, things that these issues and about not just racism but homophobia and where they kind of meet with Leo's story about the gentleman whose name I can't remember, but so yeah, I appreciated it, and it didn't really move any kind of stories along, but it was still a nice episode.
Yeah, and it's it was the little things. Yes, they had the conversation about black hair and everything, but it was just the whole episode was peppered with just little things, little tidbits, especially the conversation between Johnny and Chanel and Jada and Rafe. Little things that it's like those of us who are any kind of other have to deal with on a daily basis if you're not in your community. And I like to say be teachy but not preachy. Come of it from that perspective of like, if you're a white person, if you want to be an ally, you come at it from the perspective of, I want to learn. I always want to be bettering myself, not in a sense of, oh, it's somebody else's responsibility to teach me how to be a good person. It's a more of like, if there's something I don't know, I am open to you telling me. And I think that that's an important thing to note on. And Latinos feel this way as well.
Well, I like that they included Rafe in that too, because while he was sitting there, I'm thinking, is Rafe going to say something? So I'm glad that they had him give an experience. I'm like, okay, Rafe, Rafe is of Latin descent. Like, don't tell me this. He has his own stories, I'm sure, that he can.
Oh, the stories we have.
Yeah.
Oh, the stories we have. Yeah. I mean, Tony and Justin, you have stories. Michael has his own stories as a gay man. The stories of a Latina who steps outside of LA for just one day. Oh boy.
Well, like what I appreciated about this is that I know it's not necessarily like a teachable moment, but also just making people aware of things and of other people's experiences. One thing I thought was that I kind of wish that instead of making this like an MLK Day specific sort of a thing, like when because it kind of started with Jada going into the store and being accused of stealing. I kind of wish we had saw maybe that like a couple weeks ago, or maybe sprinkled in sometimes, just so that when we came to this moment, it would be something that like has happened, but didn't happen specifically for this particular episode. But I appreciated just the conversation that was had, and I do hope that people who watched and tuned in and didn't fast forward can kind of like have another sense and a better understanding of what it's like to be a person of color in this country. I like the moments when Days kind of, and I know people want to step out of, reality for a second, and this is a soap. And so they want to, they want their whodunits and baby switching and stuff like that. But I do like these moments where it is a little more real. And I'm always hoping that from this moment that there's a little bit like awareness and understanding, so that people can just be aware of what it's like to walk in someone else's shoes. I enjoyed the conversation. that was had at the Brady Pub with Rafe and Jada and Chanel and Johnny. And I felt like there was a little bit of representation there, you know, from all sides. You know, you had two, you know, Black women, one who, as the character identifies as part of LGBTQIA, you had Latin, Hispanic, and then you also had a cis white man kind of being like, you know, you know, and so it made it very real. And then, you know, just seeing Paulina doing her podcast and just kind of, you know, highlighting, you know, Martin Luther King Jr. and you know, it was just and Leo, you know, writing the article about Bayard Rustin, who there's a movie out right now called Rustin.
Please go see it.
That depicts that. It was a nice. Days did a very good job tying in from all like angles. So it was an important conversation. It's kind of sad that in 2024 we're still having those kind of conversations. And I hope that what people can take from it is to treat others as if you would want to be treated. I think when you learn to love, respect, and accept people, the world can be a better place. And sometimes some of the stereotypes that you learned are not necessarily the correct way of thinking about a group of people. And it's very hard to unlearn those things. But I think when you are open to understanding someone else, it makes it that much better. And not to sound preachy or to continue sounding preachy, but for those people who are not aware of others and continue teaching and having said stereotypes in this climate, in this day and age, you're going to have to seek knowledge and education, or you're going to fall for things and things are going to happen that you're not going to see and you're not going to predict. And in the end, you're not going to like.
And on the flip side of that, if you are a person who feels like, who would feel stupid asking certain questions, like they put Johnny in that position as the white person in the room. And it's like, please understand that it's okay to ask if you're among people you love, and always just preface it by saying, like, as I said earlier, I want to learn more. I want to, I don't expect you to have all knowledge to educate me, but if there's something you think I should know, please share with me. Share so that I know that I'm not going to make an ass of myself, or share so that I know so that I can become a better person, a better ally. It's okay, guys. It's okay to ask. We all say stupid things. We don't get it right 100% of the time. We're always constantly learning.
Yeah. And sometimes there are things that are not for you. And that doesn't mean that you have to go against it. But it's best to have some sort of understanding about it and accept it and respect it. But just say, that's for you. It's not necessarily for me, but I'm not going to condemn you for that.
I'm not going to force my beliefs onto you because I don't believe that and I think I'm right. Yeah, no.
Exactly. Like to simply put it, if I don't like peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, I'm not going to do my best to make sure no one else has peanut butter and jelly sandwiches.
Yeah.
Because you know what? Someone else enjoying peanut butter and jelly sandwiches does not affect you one bit.
Not a bit. It just means that if I go to your house and you have a peanut butter and jelly sandwich and you offer it to me, I respect you and the time you put in to making that peanut butter and jelly sandwich. However, it is not for me, but it could be for someone else. And I hope you enjoy that peanut butter and jelly sandwich. But as for me and my house, no, thank you.
Nuts.
but we can still continue to exist in the same space. Just note that I love peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, especially Crustables. So I just want to make that note.
Jam back in the day. Oh man, I used to love getting those at lunch.
Oh, I love a good Crustable. I don't know why. It just peanut butter and jelly sandwich hits different when it's a Crustable.
That was a great analogy, though. That was a great analogy for many issues that are going on right now.
Yes, and like I said, those who don't take the time to educate themselves about things that they don't know, you're going to have people continue to be in your ear about those things, and they're going to give you the wrong information. And therefore you're going to start following and believing in things, and you're going to do things that is going to be a detriment, not only to whatever they dislike, but also to yourself. So wake up, ask questions, talk to someone. It's okay to be inquisitive. Don't just believe things that someone who does not know anything about the subject is telling you. Anywho,
good point.
Those thoughts to you brought to you by the fine folks here at Dishin Days.
The more you know, knowledge is power.
Oh my God, it really is.
Being said, a stereotype sometimes is a stereotype for a reason, and I will be happy to tell you what kind of taco meat is what kind of taco meat if you really want to know.
Do you have tacos, Araceli?
I have turkey tacos now.
Turkey tacos.
Because we're trying to be a little bit healthy. For homemade ones. But yeah, there's a difference in this different styles of meat.
Turkey can be taco meat. You just add a little bit of that taco seasoning, and it's just fine. A chair is still a chair, even if there's no one sitting there.
I like that.
I needed a minute with that one.
That's also a Luther Vandross song. Yeah. Thank you, Mom. Turkey is good.
Thank you, Mom. Yeah.
All right. Well, those were your top storylines, and we are now going to go into our tidbits. But before we do, just some quick reminders. One, make sure you follow us. Please follow us on all social media platforms if you are not already. Also, make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel. If you are not already, please make sure that you do. Also, follow us on all the podcast platforms, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, and iHeartRadio. In case you need to take us along, there's an option there. Also, buy some merch. Go take a look, dishindays.threadless.com. There you go. You're doing great, Michael Mattis. I love it. And also, make sure you go support JLJ Media on YouTube and also on the podcast station platforms. All that will be much appreciated. Thank you guys so much. And feel free to share this, y'all. Everyone is in different, Days of Our Lives groups and everything like that. Everyone has social media. Share our videos, like it, love it, tell people they want more of it. Let's continue to grow this community so that every Sunday we have a special place to come and talk about Days of Our Lives. And you can share your opinions as long as you share them nicely. Don't be rude. Like this one girl was rude to me when I was trying to come out of a parking space and I was taking a little bit time. She gonna honk her horn at me, and then she rolled up and was like, "Are you moving?" And I was like,
"Not now."
Yeah. Well, can you move now? I got my best friend here. I'm trying to get in the parking.
No. That's when you get out of the car and you find something else to do outside the car.
I
was gonna move, but not now.
I really wish my petty wheels were activated, because as soon as she came up beside me and started doing like this, I just looked at her and got out of the car and went doot doot, nope, and just like fake walked somewhere. Anyway, people are crazy though. All right, so let's get into some tidbits. We're gonna start with our first tidbit, which is the bistro bust is a bust.
This story kind of escalated very quickly.
How so?
I didn't it's been trickling, but if you look at it from the police perspective, it's like, well, now they seem to actually have somebody who's giving them good tips on where the drugs are, because they knew exactly where they were. And now it seems like they have moles in the police department, and now it seems like they have moles in the jail, so in the prison. So it's like this escalated very quickly. I thought it was like a petty drug storyline, but this is getting pretty detailed pretty fast.
I just don't understand how a man in jail
I know.
is fully running. First of all, let's take a look at this. Number one, Clyde is barely on the show. Yet
this was the first time we've seen him in how long?
In forever.
Even though we've heard his name every effing week.
How a character is running the show the way that he is by barely being on and being locked up is amazing to me.
Yeah.
It's amazing to me, and here's how I'll compare it. Excuse me. Clyde Weston, no, it doesn't make sense to me. I'm go along with it, but it doesn't make sense to me. Someone like Stefano. Now, if this were Stefano, I'd be like, oh yeah, he has the power to control this. But Clyde, no, I feel like they're almost trying to make Clyde a new Stefano-ish.
Or a new Orpheus?
Or a new, oh God. Orpheus, no, not Orpheus. Just, no, don't. Oh God.
Oh wow!
Just no more Orpheus, please.
Just the name got you up.
No, like villains that I would like to never hear from again: Orpheus and Clyde.
It's fair. I understand your frustration.
It's just like it doesn't make sense. Stefano had a history where it made sense that he could have his hands all over the place. Even when like incarcerated or even from jail, he managed to escape jail and had a doppelganger in there when he kidnapped Marlena to Paris. Like it with Clyde and Orpheus, just to have them somehow be able to pull all these stunts while they're incarcerated, it just doesn't. It never made sense to me, and it falls flat. And it's like, no, they can't. They're not Stefano. They're not at Stefano level villain.
I believe this more if it were Clyde and Orpheus teaming up together to do this.
Oh, God,
because Clyde's things have always been he needs a partner. That's why he's always gone after EJ and that was how EJ got shot, because they were in competition and Clyde wanted to recruit him. And this is, he wanted Stephanie, he needed someone. So it kind of doesn't make sense. Like, why does he need someone now if he's all this knowing and empowering? I don't know. It's again, like we've said before, it's up against Stefan, who's a Demira, and Ava, who's a Vitali. Like, this should be like a phone call to get rid of him or to neutralize him. Like,
it's just crazy to me how, like, he has plants everywhere. He's getting people. He's getting Lucas beat up in jail. Like, I mean, I'm in awe because I'm sitting here watching this and I'm like, this man, he has a burner phone. He's just calling and just being like, do it now. In his jail cell with no latest issue of Soap Opera Digest, just making sure everything happens. It's crazy to me. And it's like, because I was like, oh, this is it. They about to bust this up. And when he was like, all clear, I'm like, oh, they must have hid the drugs really well. And then it was like, doo-doo. Someone got in there and got it out. It's like,
I know when he literally just put it in there and turned around.
It's there. Like, imagine moving and putting all the boxes away, and then someone coming in and being like, doo-doo, like, move them. And you're like, but I just did it. And it's like, did I do it right? Like, what happened? Yeah, but I did appreciate the moment where Harris looked at Ava and was just like, "Here is my badge. I am talking to you just as a man to a woman. Tell me what is going on." And in that moment, I wanted Ava to go, "It's Clyde, and he's doing da 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 and da da." But no, the pressure's getting to her because you know what she did? She kicked them heels off, sat on that couch, and drank some wine.
That was not wine in that bottle.
Was it not wine?
No, it was not.
That was alcohol. That was like vodka or some grain.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
That was not wine.
I like that Tripp's issue. Why are you sitting here in the dark? And I was like, it should be, why are you sitting here in the dark freebasing a bottle of vodka?
Yeah, I know.
But that wasn't his issue, just sitting in the dark.
Yeah.
But also
correction, gin.
But also I wanted to be like, Ava, how long have you been sitting there? Because Tripp and Wendy were in the other room.
How awkward does that have to be sharing an apartment that small with your girlfriend and your mom? Like there's really nowhere else for Ava to. Stefan can't give her a room at the mansion.
Well, she has a bedroom. Yeah, I don't know why she was on the couch, but
because she just has had a.
That's as far as she made it.
Yeah,
she got a bottle of gin or vodka or some hard liquor from the bistro.
Stopped at CVS on the way home.
picked up some snacks.
Snacks and some gin.
I did like that she let her guard down when it came to Tripp. She didn't admit everything, but she stopped sort of pretending like everything was fine.
Yeah.
So she's almost there with admitting to him and Wendy. So at least they know someone is either blackmailing her or she's in trouble somehow and is in over her head. They just don't know the specifics of it.
I guess by escalation, what I meant earlier is that it's not just an escalation of the entire situation. It's more of a like, everything is kind of out in the open without being out in the open. It's I know you know that I know, but I don't know what you know kind of a situation. Like Tripp and Wendy full on know that Ava is involved in the drug scheme. Harris knows that Stefan and Ava are involved in a drug scheme. Rafe and Jada,
and not buying their little we're in a romance.
Nobody's no one is buying that. Chad knows without knowing that the DiMera is involved. EJ 100% knows that Stefan is involved because Stefan came to him and told him. Lucas, Clyde now knows that Lucas has been recruited as a mole. That I called that a mile away. That was never going to end well. That pretty quickly. And now it seems that Clyde is done with the whole charade and is just gonna. I will say, I know that everybody's complaining. Oh, but it's Clyde. He's not villain enough. I will say, it was a pretty ballsy move for Clyde to call Harris into the room like that, because you could see on Harris's face immediately, he knows. Now in that second, he knows this is the guy.
Well, Clyde is bold. He turned around like
hillbilly.
For still pretty bold for hillbilly.
And he can no.
Well, listen, let me tell you something. Let something else happen to Lucas. Harris ain't got to worry about Clyde. He don't have to worry about Kate. And we all know Kate don't play no games.
Oh, heck no.
Not when it comes to her baby Lucas.
Even today's Kate still can whip a bit.
Oh no,
especially
let her at him.
Clyde with their history. Ooh.
She's already shot him once, hasn't she?
No, I think she just held a gun to him. Or did she actually shoot him?
I think
it was when he had the baby.
Yeah, I thought she shot him.
Maybe she did shoot him. Maybe I'm forgetting.
Oh, I think in the arm.
Not fatally.
Yeah. She
not
did
fatally,
shoot him in the arm,
yeah. But she's already, she's got her licks in.
Kate don't play. So don't play with Kate and her kids.
Okay, not that this was funny, but did anyone
but it was
find it amusing when Lucas was describing what got him beat up, and he's like, I talked to the guard Daryl, and he's like, I talked to the lunch lady, and it was like, what?
Doris.
Yeah, I was like,
Yeah.
that's what got you beat up. I was like, oh God, are you kidding me? I don't know. I just found that whole thing. I thought he was gonna say like, at first it happened really quick, and I was like, oh my God, he got found out that quick, and then it was literally like he asked like 3 people or something.
Well, it's because first of all, you're talking to too many people.
Like
You're
too many
supposed to be
people
The
too
lunch
quickly. You need to
lady, she's
ease
on the
into
payroll.
this.
The lunch lady.
like you're supposed to just be like this is your first week on the case. You supposed
a little surveillance, little listening.
just yeah, just paying attention to people's conversations, not asking too much, not doing too much. No, you went in. Let me get the chicken sandwich and who doing the drugs? That's not how you're supposed to do it.
Yeah. Hazel.
Oh, hi, Days of Our Lives. Don't pick on poor Hazel.
Are we going to see Hazel? Is she make an appearance? Is she like second in command?
Also, a reminder, y'all make sure y'all go follow Days Peacock on X and Instagram, and also on YouTube, so that way you don't miss out on exclusive Days of Our Lives content.
Yeah.
But side note, when Paulina said she was going to do a podcast, the whole time I kept being like, who did they get to be this podcast person that's going to interview Paulina on MLK? But then to see her, and then poor Abe like,
checking the levels.
You ready? Oh, but also to mention that, sorry, side note, did anyone else think that Abe accidentally already started recording when Paulina was talking about like her tests and stuff?
Well, I think this was another little continuity error because Chanel said that the podcast was live. And if it had been live, then that would have been a problem. So it's just another little error thing.
Yeah.
Happens.
I was kind of confused about whether it was the live aspect, because that's what I thought. I thought they were listening to it live.
Yeah.
They did, but they caught the tail end of it because she did say, all right, Abe, take me live. And I wanted to be like, Abe pressed that button 10 minutes ago.
Yeah.
Look at his face, he's like, oh. Then he just goes, okay, click, we're live.
I have to say, y'all gotta make Paulina drink more than a sip of water to like cure all that. Whenever she's like hacking and then they give her a bottle of water, she takes a small sip and she's like, oh, thanks. I need that.
Well, maybe she has a small esophagus and she can't drink that much.
That kills me the last few weeks. I'm like,
name them.
Like, we can kind of chug that.
Give the woman a cup of tea.
Yeah, or something.
It is January. Give the woman a cup of tea.
I don't know. Make sure the cough spells happen other times other than like interviews.
Yeah. Oh, she did kind of was that this past week or 2 weeks ago with Maggie and Nicole? Maybe that was last week. When she
was last week.
Holly.
Yeah. I think she was in the hospital room with Holly, and she had a bit. And...
Yeah.
I would have said, baby, you gotta go.
People, yeah, I know, right? I think people are starting. Well, we had who was it, Chad and Everett last week with the interview, then Nicole and Maggie. So yeah, it's making its rounds at some that she may not be well.
Yeah.
Oh, nosy.
All right. Well, now that we went back to that, and now that we've covered the bistro, which kudos to Ava for comping everyone's meal. At that moment, I would have ordered some extra.
That's when you open the menu and you're like, wow.
You're
right. Said,
take some to go.
I know, right?
Yeah, I sure would have. I mean, one them, but 4 people in there anyway. Y'all be okay.
This $600 bottle of wine, 2 of those, please.
Like, I'll take a bottle of wine, another order of crab cakes. Ooh, let me try this soup. How many desserts y'all got? Bring them all.
Creme brulee.
Right. Some creme brulee.
Well, speaking of,
Why are we not surprised?
Well, speaking of like that.
That's probably creme brulee that you went to the grocery store and said creme brulee and just put it in the cart.
You can't get creme brulee at the grocery store. You can get crab cakes at the grocery store.
You can. Oh, I do love crab cakes. Well, speaking of food and dinners, let's go to the family dinners from hell. We had the Johnsons and we had the Brady Blacks or Robichaux dinners. We'll start over at the Johnsons.
Steve. Like I guess they're really leaning into this.
Yeah.
Steve is that overbearing, over inquisitive, clueless boomer dad that just, you know.
Oh,
and it's like he's really that dad that you're like, Steve, dad.
Oh,
I will say this: as much as it annoys me, and he has been, it is like a character thing, because Steve used to do that to what's her name? God, why am I forgetting her name?
Adrian,
yeah, he used to do that with Adrian, especially with Justin, and that was the big thing with him.
Yeah.
But sometimes it's not your business.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh no.
Exactly, yeah.
It's not your business at all, you know, or you know, after these many years, just, you know. So Everett, I hear you're from Seattle. I hear that you and Stephanie knew. How did you guys meet?
Yeah.
You know, instead of like a so Everett, Seattle, huh? It's like, don't be interrogating that man like that. This ain't Black Pat. You're supposed to be sitting there eating a salad and whatever. I don't even know what was for dinner.
Roast chicken.
Yeah.
They said chicken. It. Roast chicken.
Oh, that's right.
And pie. I actually got a really descriptive idea of that dinner. It made me hungry.
You also just got really excited about that dinner. This is excited about me and the donuts. Somebody's
roast
hungry.
Chicken and pie and wine. That's a whole meal right there. That's a good meal right there.
That's an appetizer.
That's better than the freaking crudités that Sloan was serving. Like literally the biggest. I could spend so much time
$2 chuck
complaining about the food. And for those who think that crudité sounds so fancy and so upscale, it's vegetables. It's a veggie tray.
Well, you can crudité that back in the kitchen. That's what you can do with that. Well, it seems like the Johnson's dinner went a little bit better. Surprised about the invitation to Everett to come and join them. Like for me, it's kind of like, so are y'all dating? Like what you like? Because you know, Stephanie, you know his intent.
Yes.
Y'all kissed on New Year's. Like, are you just moving on with Everett like that? And then also, we can't we can't forget the dizzy spell that Everett had, and also the now Everett, you identify as straight, so you should know what baseball is. The fact that he was like, you know, that sport where they with the glove and he's like lacrosse. Yeah, lacrosse. I was like, I don't think he was reaching for lacrosse.
No, he said that the stick with the net. That's what that was the difference.
Oh, well, anywho. So that was kind of like a, where are we going with this, Days?
Yeah.
No, but I know it's easy to roll your eyes at, you know, Steve becoming that dad, but Stephanie is so very clearly flirting, so very clearly putting out signals that she's available, despite what she says. So of course Steve is and Steve's not an idiot. Even he is picking up on that. So I don't think it's anything coming out of left field, in the sense of, I felt that when he asked Chad what his intentions were with Stephanie, I felt that was coming out of left field a little too early. But with this, it just feels like, well, I see what you're doing and I see what he's doing, and I'm putting 2 and 2 together. So what do you expect me to say?
No, it's too early. It's like you didn't learn from the last time you was trying to you know, you saw what happened with her and Chad. Now you just trying to do a repeat. Not Annette Thompson trying to call me on being like, so is that stereotyping, Tony? A little bit, it is. I did it. I did.
Look,
I stereotyped the fact that straight men should know sports, and if you are not straight, you don't. So yes, I stereotyped a little bit. I will take full responsibility of that. I acknowledge that. I taught myself, and I will do better. Look at that. If the world only worked in that way, taking accountability, accepting, learning, moving on.
Now, knowing is not necessarily understanding. So,
well, I can only do so much. All right. Well, that was the Johnsons.
Onto the main course.
onto across town, the crudité in the studio apartment.
Oh my god.
Crudité, too much wine, and Marlena looking at Sloan like this unfunny dumb bitch.
Oh my god.
Like that was exactly it. Like what the hell?
Marlena was sitting here looking at her like, girl, what? You know what Marlena's face said? And I don't know if y'all will know this video. Do y'all remember the video of when Patti LaBelle was on the Tyra Banks show? Mm-hmm. And the woman accused her of wanting to eat the paper off the cupcake. Yeah. And she was like, I don't eat the paper. Yeah, and she was like, I don't eat paper. What's wrong with her? Like, that's what Marlena's face looked like to me. Like, you, Megan Jones? Eric, what's wrong with her? I'm not like I could just hear that in my head. I could hear Patti LaBelle's voice, not saying where my background singers, but just being like Marlena, just being like, and Johnson over there like, girl, we gonna have to take our dinner to go, honey, because this is just. And Eric trying to salvage the whole thing, and she's just being like, no, she's just so perfect that
It was cringe, but also funny at the same time.
I found this hilarious. Sloan won me. I mean, I like Sloan, but she won me over with this. I thought she was hilarious, relatable. Honestly, the more it went on, the more mad I got at John and Marlena. I was like, first of all, take the sticks out your asses. The fact until she got rude at the end, she got a little rude. Until that point, they were being completely rude to her. I thought. Mm-hmm. I thought there was a point where
they're being a little too judgy. You would expect people like John and Marlena to realize, like, oh, she's nervous.
Exactly.
We're probably intimidating her. We should make her feel more at ease rather than sitting there giving her the Patti LaBelle look.
Yeah. And then when she tried to be nice, and then Marlena brought up dead DJ, I was like you haven't mentioned DJ in 20 years, and this is when you bring him up. Like this girl's trying to give you a compliment and trying to relate to you, and then you bring up, oh no, actually, I had a dead baby before that, and it's like, girl, like.
Well, maybe she was now. Okay, I see both sides, but. But Sloan was also like, I mean, you just popped twins right out. And it was more of an informative of like, well, I actually had a kid before that and he died of SIDS. And Sloan just took that as like, oh, well, I'm just
Sloan.
Putting my foot in my mouth.
Yeah, well, no, but to Justin's point, it's like, there's if Sloan is obviously saying all of the wrong things at the wrong time, and to say that Marlena is saying the right thing at the right time by bringing up her dead child, in the middle of a nice family, it was supposed to be a nice family dinner where she would get to know her new daughter-in-law. It's like, that's not something that you just bring up out of nowhere.
Well, I think there was a way to bring it up.
Yeah.
So when Sloan was like, you just popped twins right out, first off the bat. And Marlena could have said, well, I don't know if Eric told you, but before I had the twins, I actually had a son named DJ, but unfortunately he died of SIDS.
Yeah,
I mean,
answered Sloan's question and bypassed the whole thing. It was like so unnecessary to like.
No, I just think like Because then imagine this. Maybe she brings it up again of like, well, when you had the twins, right off the bat, at some point Marlena was going to have to say, well, no, acknowledge the other child, because obviously Sloane doesn't know. But like, there's a way to bring up something. Well, Sloane didn't. I keep saying Sloane didn't have to say, you popped out twins right off the bat. I mean.
But she was doing it as actually a compliment to Marlena. She's saying, like, she actually was asking for advice. That was the whole point of what she was saying. And Marlena completely didn't give her any advice. She completely skipped over what she was saying and then brought up DJ. And it was like, girl, you could, like, you can immediately, DJ, like, wrong time and place.
And to immediately jump to that she might have a problem. And it's like, no, she doesn't have a problem. She's nervous. This is a girl who's been completely composed in everything she does. She prides herself on it, and in one dinner with you guys, she falls apart. You don't think that says something?
Well, listen,
Sloane was fully aware of how like hesitant they were to accept her as Eric's girlfriend. So yeah.
So here's the thing.
They should have a little more empathy for her.
I still will stand by the fact that it was fine for Marlena to bring that up. But I think at some point when her and John realized that Sloane was a bit nervous and uneasy, especially given like the history of unapproval that Eric was seeing her from them. I think at some point when the crudité was needed, I think that was a point for Marlena to say, Sloane, why don't we go in the kitchen and get it? And then maybe just like kind of take her up the step and say, listen, there's no reason to be nervous around us, okay? Let's just have a wonderful dinner where we get to know each other. You make Eric happy, and we're happy for that. As long as he's happy, we're happy. And that's all we can do as parents. So let's just start at a clean slate.
Yeah.
Okay? And then that would have been it.
And to me, the fact that she didn't, and to me, the fact that she didn't do that is just such a clear sign of her disapproval of Sloane. Which, again, we preface this by saying that we as an audience know that Sloane is a baddie, that she has kidnapped a child, and blah blah blah. They don't know that, so it's like
she was convinced to kidnap, like she did it, but there was also Melinda in her. Sloane didn't come up with it by herself.
Yes, but put that aside because they don't know that. Based on the information that they do know, yes, it would have been based on the information that they knew at that dinner. There was no reason for John and Marlena to be as uppity as they were.
But there's some uneasiness too. Like, they're still trying to approve Sloane, because there's nothing that they can do. Eric is grown. So I'm sure they went into the dinner very uneasy too, because like, while they want to be happy for Eric, I think Marlena obviously wants Eric and Nicole together, but but it's kind of like coming to a dinner and being like, ding, ding, ding. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, they're trying to get through it too. And when she's just falling apart, it's kind of like, what do you do when this grown woman is just the crudité and we got the forks and at some point you just kind of look at somebody like, baby, what's wrong with you? What's wrong with her?
The character of Marlena should be able to, I'm sorry, Marlena, maybe not John, but Marlena should have been able to read the situation for what it was.
Oh yeah.
And had taken action to put Sloane at ease. That would have been very in character, rather than, again, looking at her with Patti LaBelle eyes.
Okay, I did scream at the TV when they questioned if she had a problem.
Yeah.
And then this is what got me. Not even just
who
that.
Had a problem.
When John and Marlena said, oh, do you think she has an alcohol problem?
John said it.
When they were with the baby. And then they said, which killed me, they said, oh, how bad that would be for Eric or how unfortunate that would be for Eric. And I'm like, Eric's an alcoholic who killed someone. Like it was so crazy. I was like, wait, are they on a different show? Like,
I mean, I mean, and I think this goes to a lot of the problems that we have with the character of Eric, which is not necessarily that we have a problem with the character of Eric necessarily. It's others' reaction to Eric. It's the entire family treating Eric like he is the golden child, which I get it. In comparison to his twin, he is. But please do not continue to treat this grown man who was kicked out of the priesthood, who is a recovering addict, who did in fact kill but did in fact kill someone as a result of his addiction. Please do not treat him like he is the golden child saint that he is not. If he is not looking at himself that way, please don't continue to do that.
That part just killed me. I was like, what?
Well, now she gets to sleep it off, and hopefully when she wakes up, she's not too embarrassed, and maybe they can have a round 2 without wine.
Oh, forget it. No, I want her to own who she is, because that's the Sloane that we love, is her owning who she is.
And who is she?
Well, right now she's a baby napper, so I wouldn't own that part. But the Sloane that we first met was a no-nonsense, sex-positive, driven career woman who made no apologies to anyone for who she was, how she made her living, and how she lived her life.
Make her sound like a whore.
No,
but that's the whole, like, that's an issue, like a stereotype issue.
Exactly.
Like, just because a woman is sex positive, owns it, whatever, she's not a whore. It doesn't make her a whore.
No, it wasn't the sex positive. It wasn't the sex positive part. It was the how she makes her money.
Well, because people judged her for the types of case. Well, because people judged her for the types of cases that she took. That's what I mean. She took cases that other people wouldn't take, and people would turn their noses down at her. And her excuse would always be, everyone is entitled to a defense. That is what I was taught, and that is what I believe. And I don't care what you think about it.
But the Sloane that we met when she hooked up with Alex, there is a lot that has transpired. And while she's still that same Sloane, I think right now, the biggest thing is that she is ridden with guilt with what she did. So, and also now being a new mom and keeping the secret, having Leo on her tail, you know, trying to be happy, now trying to impress the most perfect woman in Salem, you know, which, you know, I was actually glad that Nicole had that conversation with Sloane to be like, listen, I get how you feel, but Marlena isn't as perfect, you know, and mentioned the affair and all this kind of stuff. So it's like, while she is a woman of stature in Salem, it's like, there's not anything to be worried about. Now, granted, did I think she was setting her up by telling her to have a big gulp of wine beforehand? A little bit. A little bit. But also, it's like, Sloane, you know your tolerance. If what you should have did was finish your crudité and then sat in the kitchen, had yourself a little sip of wine, take a deep breath, and then entertain the guests. But no, you was chugging that back like, you know, like you were prepared to do knock jokes. So there's that.
Knock.
Who's there? Boo. Boo hoo.
Don't cry, we'll take the apartment.
Oh, that's where we went off girl. Yeah. All right, let's move on to our couple more tidbits. Pawn Patrol. I just say,
bro.
Nikki Finn's mad.
I didn't know what was going on there for a second.
I can't express to you how. Again, as always, nothing against the actors, nothing against the writers, but oh my God, end this now, please.
You don't like it?
I hate it. I hate this so much.
Okay, what do we hate so people know what we're talking about?
I hate Konstantin and his little face and the way that he talks to Steve, and I'm like bringing up stuff that is like decades old.
I'm curious to see where they're going with it.
Yeah.
Same.
I'm actually like a little bit like I'm not saying I like the character of Konstantin, but I'm curious where this branch of the storyline is going. At this point, I'm curious. Now we'll see how I feel, a couple weeks later. But right now they're just kind of sprinkling some nuggets, and I'm going with it.
Mm-hmm.
I felt the same. Like I felt like this was kind of interesting because I think last week we talked about holes in like Steve's life and also like John's life.
Mm-hmm.
And even though the Robo-Show thing was like wonk wonk, I find this to be a little interesting as far as like what does Konstantin know? What is kind of triggering Steve? Because you can tell in Steve's face, he knows what he's talking about, but he doesn't want to say it. And so it makes me curious as to, well, Steve, why did he just do a little rustle in your branches? And what exactly does he know about this period of time?
Yeah. I just hope they're not rewriting. I hope this is more about Steve than about John.
Right.
Or because we've 15th time we're gonna have a John's past storyline or history possibly rewritten, and I feel like the Dick Van Dyke was like, I felt like that was like the nice cap on John's past, so we don't have to revisit it again.
Yeah.
But Steve's past, I'm curious.
It'd be interesting.
I think there have been times where they've totally rewritten John's history, and we've gone through that and discussed some of it on the show. And I think there are times where there's an opportunity to like fill in the blanks, so to speak. And I think this is a period where they can fill in the blanks without rewriting history. There are certain things we know about John as the pawn back then, and that we talked about this last week. Steve was the one who brought him to Salem. And there's periods there where we don't know John's history, even after all these years. So if they're concentrating on that period that we've never explored on Days, then I'm okay with it. Like, I think in the past, what they've always done is rewrite who John's biological parents are. And that's always been the thing. But for the most part, they've kept a lot of his history the same. The fact that he was, what do you call it? Oh God, I'm forgetting now. An Alamein, like all that stuff is the same. It's who John's biological parents seems to change and they play with. I don't know. I think there's a difference between like rewriting as opposed to like filling in the blanks. And I hope that's what they're doing here.
Yeah. Well, we all know Araceli hates it.
So much.
Well, we'll see how you feel. I feel like he definitely got a rile out of Steve. Just in perfect timing to see Steve like really lose it on him and Maggie to walk in. So we'll see where that goes.
Do not under any circumstances advocate abuse of the elderly, but this man is really, really testing.
Except Konstantin.
He's testing my patience.
Okay.
Well, all right. Well, we're going to move on to our last tidbit. They're engaged, Johnny and Chanel. And that was this week of Days.
I mean,
it was sweet.
It was cute.
Yeah.
And sweet.
It was cute.
And it was nice.
Yeah,
I don't know why I liked it, but
I think we all like them together. I feel like we're waiting for the but.
Right. There's gonna be drama.
There's gonna be a
but somewhere.
I don't know where or when, but there's gonna be a but somewhere.
Can there be?
It's already been there.
There's always a but, and I'm sure it's drenched in whipped cream.
Oh,
I don't feel like
Mama more.
I don't feel like there's a but in this relationship. Like I don't feel like there's anything that will prevent them or from being together or anything like that. Like I feel like this is actually just a natural progression for them. I think they were snatched of their happiness due to the whole devil storyline. And there was never really like, there really wasn't like an end to it. So so I'm fine with that. And I thought it was super cute that, you know, Chanel was like, no, this isn't how you do this. Like, I want a proper one. And then he went, he found a ring, he put a little tie on, and then he did it. And I thought it was very sweet. So
yeah,
they're engaged. Good for them.
It's the little things.
All right. Yes. And then afterwards, they had fudge. Was it fudge ice cream? Something or fudge cake?
That was cherry.
Fudge sundae. That was melting in the kitchen. So it's like, we're engaged. Now dessert.
And more dessert.
Well, that was your week of days, everyone. And now we're going to head into our favorite part of our show, which are our segments. And we're going to start with mine, which is Tony's official 3 Snaps Award. Oh, snap! My 3 Snaps Award goes to the show and its writers for the MLK episode. I thought it was a very important episode to have. I thought it was a very important discussion to have, and I truly appreciated how they tied in, you know, much of the cast together to talk about this. And I just appreciated it very much. So for that, the writers get this week's 3 Snaps Award. Oh, snap! All right. And now it's time for...
Caption that.
All right, this week's caption that photo comes courtesy of Alex and Brady and high as a kite Teresa looking at her hand like she doesn't know what the F it is. And this week's caption goes to Alyssa Messner Larson, Alyssa for Larson on Instagram with her caption, 1, 2, 3, 4, I declare a nipple war.
Yes.
I read that one and I was like, done.
Who do you think will win in this nipple war?
What's the criteria for voting? What's like, is it circumference? Is it stiff? Like, what's the? Are we looking at size? Are we looking at width, height?
Oh my gosh!
Pointiness from a shirt. I
don't know.
Are we measuring anything?
Who like if you know the nipples were exposed, who do you think will win the war?
It depends how it depends what the, you know, what's on the voting sheet.
What kind of criteria were you looking for? They just nipples.
But I mean, there's different, you know, they can vary. There's no one size fits all nipple.
Please, someone send this to Rob and Eric for input.
I would declare a tie.
You would declare a tie, Justin.
Oh my god.
Oh, I just enjoy it. I mean, whatever the criteria are, whatever.
Justin will be having a war of his own.
Araceli?
I can't breathe.
Who will win the nipple war, Araceli?
I think that depends on air conditioning.
It's interesting how this has a lot of criteria for the nipple war. I now, if you're watching this or listening to this, please comment below on who you think will win the nipple war. Should I do this as a post too?
Yes, please.
Post a poll.
Got it. I'm gonna screenshot this, and then I'm gonna ask people, who do you think will win the nipple war? Done. Look for that after the show. And that has been
Caption that.
I love that in the comments, people have stated their criteria for the nipple war and also who they think would win. I love this.
Someone suggested our friend Scott a taste test. Leave it, Scott. That's all you, buddy.
And this is why.
Go for it.
This is why I absolutely love and adore our fans.
Is this the next Spectrum celebrity event?
I love it. I love it.
Oh.
All right. And now it's time for
Those were the days.
Everyone, I'm taking you back to January 20th, 2011, where we were introduced to Arnold Finnegar, aka the fake Rafe. The storyline was Stefano was vowing revenge against Sammy and Rafe and kidnapped Rafe and implanted him with a lookalike. And the only person to catch on was a very smart, astute preteen, Allie Horton, who sort of foiled everything. But yeah, I think this was a fun thing, I think, for Galen to do, to kind of give a little bit some more complexity and play a little bit of a different character. But yeah, fake Rafe was a handful. He also was the one who killed Faye Walker. So yeah.
It looks like he just walked in on the nipple war.
Right, no, right.
No, I declare nipple war.
Stefano's just there for the
2011 when we met Arnold Finnegar, aka Fake Rafe, who I can't remember if he's still alive. I know Sammy shot him. Someone tell us if he's sitting in a jail cell or if he killed. I can't remember.
I just remember him being so dumb.
Oh yeah.
And mean. He was really mean to the kids. Yeah.
And dumb.
Yeah. He was, yeah.
And dumb.
Yeah.
All right, and that was
Those were the days.
Oh, someone said he's dead.
Okay. Yeah.
Well,
The character.
Fake Rafe.
Fake
So now
Rafe
he's
is dead.
dumb and dead.
And now it's time for
It's a gift.
And this week's It's a Gift goes to Miss Eva Vitali for the Italian version of This Conversation is Over.
Always take the bottle. Oh,
Yes.
Finito
Yes.
bottle.
taking my gin one in my bedroom.
I should have known you would know where to find the gin and the boys.
Every culture has their version of this.
Yes.
Shut
And
it
that
down.
was, well, speaking of being
It's a
finito,
gift.
and now it's time for
News and gossip.
Yes, we want to start off by inviting all of you to come help celebrate our 9th anniversary of Dishin Days. We're going to do a Zoom happy hour Thursday, February 8th, 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern. Tickets are $15. You can email dishindays@gmail.com. Please join us with a drink or mocktail for our happy hour. Everything from Q&A, games, giveaways, maybe some surprise guests. We'll see, but it'll be a fun time. I know we did this last year and we had a really great turnout and it was a really fun time. So I think
no, a nipple war will not be a game.
Oh.
Oh,
no nipple war.
So yes, please join us. We have some spots left. Tickets $15. Email dishindays@gmail.com. It's going to be a really, really fun time. So yeah, we'd love to see you there.
Bring a cocktail or a mocktail and
and have a good time and get to know us and get to ask us questions and more insight to some behind the scene things that puts this show together. And if you guys have already emailed us, you will hear back today. So if you emailed us and haven't heard back, you'll get details today.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right, next up, following the passing of her dear husband, Bill Hayes, our very own Susan Seaforth Hayes has, after a few days' time, put out a statement which reads, "To all of you who honored my Billy with a word of remembrance, a sense of personal loss, or even a tear, I thank you. You touched my heart by seeing in him the goodness and joy I experienced every moment of our wonderful marriage. May we all embrace life with the gusto of Bill Hayes and enrich it with grace and love." Of Susan. Again, our supreme love and respect to this dear woman. And I've said it before, Susan, you were a very lucky girl.
Yes.
Yeah.
And we were lucky to have experienced the talents and the joy and the love of Mr. Bill Hayes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yes.
Next up, we have some congratulations in order for our friend, Mr. Dan Firago. He won the Outstanding Creators Award for Volume 2 of his graphic novel, Fractured Shards. Many of you know he just completed a successful Kickstarter for Volume 3, which should be out very soon, and has also let us know that he has been writing, I believe, Volumes 4 and 5, so they should be out soon. And again, this has been completely funded by your support, fan support through Kickstarter. So he's very, very grateful for everyone's support. And yeah, he intends to keep going with it. So big congrats on the award for his graphic novel, Fractured Shards. You can go pick it up. Yeah.
Yay.
Yeah.
It's a lot of hard work. Next up, our very own Brian DiTillo, Lucas Horton, is hosting a fun hour on Zoom Wednesday, January 24th. So that's this coming Wednesday, 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. He'll be getting out advice, telling stories, and it's going to be a fun interactive hour. It's not just going to be him talking. And if you know, if you ever seen Brian in interviews, if you ever talked to him, that's his personality. He just loves to interact with people. He's just a fun guy to hang out with. If you want to be able to be a part of the Zoom, email etcameron6@gmail.com as soon as possible. It'll be a fun time, I promise. He's a good sport.
And next up, we have another fan event. This is a new one. It's the Hot Men of Days of Our Lives in Nashville. This is Eric Martov, Paul Telfer, Carson Boatman, Brandon Beamer, Rob Wilson. This is September 28th to 29th. This is just a really just fun night. It's photo ops. It's dinner with the guys. It's an after party. It's Q&A. It's just a fun night with some hot guys from Days. So go check it out. Tickets and information, you can go to eventbrite.ca/Star Image Entertainment for all tickets and info. So yeah, go check that one out. It should be a fun night.
Yeah. Next up in our events, we have events from Spectrum Celebrity Events. We've highlighted these. These will be coming up with the Gold members only dinner with Freddie Smith. That's the VIP dinner taking place in Orlando on Saturday, February 24th, 5:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Obviously, it's going to be there, but it's only for Gold members only. So if you haven't jumped on your tickets, please go get them now. The much larger event, which is the Daytime Pride event, which is taking place in National Harbor, Maryland, with our Tony Moore as host, will be hosted March 23rd. Please get your tickets at spectrumcelebrityevents.com. Jump on them quickly. I know we've been advertising these, but these dates are actually going to come up as, hey, guys, we're already at the end of January. Hey.
Yes, our next one is one that we brought to your attention last week. It is the hottest stars of daytime cruise. From Days we have Brian DiTillo, Matt Ashford, and Vince Irizarry, with many more stars from some of your favorite soaps. This one is taking place on April 18th to 22nd. So it's like a 4.5, 5-day cruise. Tickets and information, you can go to soapcruise.com.
And we have some fun personal news from Miss Lauren Koslow. That beautiful baby girl, Sistine is her name, and she is the newest member of the Koslow family. That's her new baby granddaughter. Many, many congratulations to Lauren and her husband. Just, man, it seems like it's the baby season on Days. I love it. She's gorgeous. Yeah. Many congratulations from here at Dishin Days.
First grandchild. Sweet.
So
Pretty.
cute. I met Lauren's daughter with Lauren when she was still like in high school. So I think that she's and that's just how I think about her, because that's really, like, I think I met her twice. That's the only time I met her. So I'm like, she's got a baby, but I'm like, oh wait, she's like in her 20s. She can have a baby. So yeah, congratulations to them.
And that was
news and gossip.
And now it's time to find out what's coming up this week on Peacock's Days of Our Lives. Check it out.
I love you. I think maybe you already knew. Should we take this to the bedroom?
I think you're in love.
What the hell?
Do you still have feelings for Brady?
Brave is so charming.
Nothing like my lying, cheating ex.
I have a confession.
Oh Lord, please let this be the week that they found the key.
No, we need it. Come on.
Oh my gosh. Oh, all right. Well, you guys, that has been our little Dishin Days show. Thank you so much for tuning in. Before we head out, though, Michael Mattis, tell the folks where they can find you.
You can find me on Instagram and Twitter at MLMattis.
Justin Lee Hareld, where can they find you?
Find me on Instagram at Justin Lee Hareld.
Araceli Aviles, where can they find you?
You can find me on Instagram and Twitter at Tia323Araceli.
And you guys can find me on all social media platforms at Lounging with Tony. And you can find us, Dishin Days show on Facebook, Dishin Days on Instagram, X, and Threads. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. We'll be back next week to serve up a full dish of this coming week's episodes of Peacock's exclusive #1 award-winning
Small sip.
hit soap opera, Days of Our Lives. Until then, have a wonderful week. Be safe, and we'll see you next week. Bye, everybody.
Bye.